la revolución, que viva, que siga, que viva la revolución, que siga.
My second example, socialism is not possible without the indigenous and women. That's the example of the women in Bolivia. So this case, Bolivia, is another case that illustrates the exemplary struggle of women for their sovereignty as Bolivians and as indigenous women. It has been recorded that since the War of Independence 200 years ago, the Bolivian women fought on the front line alongside with men, but once the war was over, the equality in the front line did not transform into political representation, education, or economic opportunities. But the water war, I don't know if you heard about the water war in 2000 or the gas war in 2003, both against privatization of resources by foreign corporations, have been a turning point in women's struggle that show us that feminism should be anti-neoliberal, anti-capitalist, and anti-imperialist. Since Evo Morales and the MAS came to power, the role of women have been crucial in Bolivia. Women are not only in the front line of protests, as I mentioned, but they are now 30% of the parliament. They are heads of trade unions, and they are half of Evo's cabinet. They are part of the decision-making and the transformation of Bolivia. And these achievements have not been the result of positive discrimination, but the result of empowerment of women by being part in the struggle. They have fought illiteracy and continue to fight starvation. A senator, an indigenous women senator, Gabriela Montano, said, "This is the fruit of women's fight, the tangible proof of this new state, of this new Bolivia, is increasing participation of the indigenous people and increasing participation of women in the decision-making process of this country." So women are like in the front line, defending their communities against police and military before Evo came to power. That was a senator, Leonida, Chulita, and they are organizing, and most of them are bilingual. Spanish is their second language, and that's Senator Gabriela Montano that I just quoted talking to Evo. Yeah, the one with the hat. And my third example is women resisting state terror and building a new society in Colombia. In a civil war situation, women and their children are the ones that suffer the most. Women become military targets as the state forces abuses their vulnerable situation to terrorize and destroy good communities. But on the other hand, women have found a way of resisting the fierce state terror that has characterized the over 50-year-long war in Colombia by being part of the civil and armed resistance. Poverty and marginalization, not only in Colombia but in Latin America as a whole, perpetuate the oppression of women who, in the countryside or communities built by displaced people or in the misery belts around the cities, are more prone to exploitation, rape, lack of opportunities, and condemned to have many children that will end up begging on the streets or displaced by the war. But in the mountains and the resistance, they fight alongside men regardless of gender and ethnic background. Just in the last few years, most of the, over 60% of the recruits of the resistance, of the insurgency are women. So they are working together to change the reality. Skip the pictures. Getting ice cream in the park. Very important. She was a commander in rebel forces, and very good looking, very like in the film, from the film La Guerrillera. And yeah, my last example that it has been an inspiration not only for Latin America but for the whole feminist movement is a revolution within the revolution. Well, as we know, if we know about Cuban history, when the Grandma disembarked in Cuba, there were no women in this expedition. But soon after this, women like Vilma Espin or Aleida March carried out decisive military operations that led to the victory of the Cuban Revolution. Within the revolution, women have organized to be part of the transformation for the construction of a new society. They have demanded equal rights, now guaranteed in the Constitution, and is state policy to make sure equality is real. The victories that Cuban women have won within the revolution are expressed far beyond political representation in local and national bodies. Cuban women have full access to education, employment, equal wages. But more importantly, Cuban women are protected by universal healthcare system. They have the right to decide when and how many children they want to have and can look after. They enjoy a childcare system that ensures women can study, work, be part of all developments, while the good community helps them raise healthy children. Cuban women are doctors, work in construction, and everything they want to do to build their own futures. And similar to the case of Bolivia, and I'm going to finish, Cuba shows that the advancement of women's struggle and the role in the leading a revolution cannot be the product of the so-called positive discrimination or setting quotes of representation in bureaucratic positions, but by women fighting on for the rights to education, for the rights to decide over their own bodies and lives. It is based on women having equal access to work and freedom of speech and opinion. These examples, like the Mexican Zapatistas or the guerrilleras in Colombia, although they illustrate very exemplary struggles in resistance and for building better societies, their achievements are unfortunately not enjoyed by the rest of the population. In Mexico, women continue to be sexually exploited, murdered in the borders, or jailed for having an illegal abortion. In Colombia, women continue to be massively displaced and condemned to poverty and suffer under state terror. So these great achievements I mentioned have changed and improved the lives of many women and set examples to follow, certainly. But all Mexican, Colombian, and all Latin American women deserve to have a life with dignity, and this is only possible when the socialist feminist is discussed and is an essential part of the national agenda of the Latin American states. So we, the Latin American women, deserve and are fighting for real equality, for real political representation, but also for housing, food, education, and against the current capitalist system. Thank you.